Blinkerhole is back. Unfortunately, we've been recovering from a rather nasty bug. No, not Holly Willoughby. Though, rather like her, we've been sniveling into our hanky feeling shaken and troubled, pottering around the house in our PJs while plotting our next move. Though, unlike the former This Morning presenter, who is making the most of her break from TV by enjoying recreational and relaxing activities, we stopped short of a spot of lunar gardening, much too chilly outside for that malarkey. Yes, as ex-SMTV live host, Kat Deeley swooped in to bag Holly's glamorous spot on the sofa. The Wild Moon lifestyle brand owner has been kneeling in the dirt, sharing tips about how to make your garden flourish by using the moon's gravitational pull. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Perhaps the stress of a foiled kidnap plot turns one's fingers green in the dead of winter. Who knows? But her blog insists that the concept of lunar gardening has been around forever and a day, and follows the idea that in the same way that the moon controls ocean tides, it can also influence the movement of water in soil. Considering the human body is mostly made up of water, perhaps the moon is also affecting Holly's senses, unless of course, they've taken leave altogether. A Wild Moon brand recommends planting above-ground crops, such as strawberries, during the waxing moon phase, and waiting for the waning moon phase to plant below-ground crops like root vegetables. The website adds that some gardeners believe that pruning during the waning moon helps to reduce the chances of disease. It is also suggested that aspiring lunar gardeners follow a lunar calendar to plan out their harvesting. They do love their calendars and rituals, these celebrities, don't they? Holly's blog also adds that the scientific consensus states the moon's effects on soil moisture are likely to be very subtle and recommends also continuing with gardening practices that rely on scientifically proven methods. It continues that astrology signs can also have an added benefit, saying that Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer are said to be very fruitful and fertile, so will help your crops grow. The piece concludes, "Right, I'm off to put my gardening gloves on. Happy planting." So, what could Holly be implying with this gobbledygook? Well, she mentions the words fruitful and fertile, which sounds to us suspiciously like her producer hubby Dan Baldwin might be leaving his gardening gloves on the nightstand. Meanwhile, Kat Deeley is the cat that got the cream, no pun intended. She will be preening her whiskers next to Rylan Clark, joining the growing list of revolving door presenters as ITV bosses continue their seemingly fruitless search for someone who can read an auto cue. One wonders whether they are stalling in their quest to find a permanent replacement because come next year there will be no show to host. A source said, Kat is a seasoned pro and XX have been keen to get her in for a while. She takes live TV in her stride and is really witty and personable with guests. She is comfortable interviewing both pop stars and politicians, so if it goes well she could be a much more permanent solution to Holly leaving. Kat would be a safe captain to steady the ship. Rylan was a resounding success too, so fans can expect to see a lot more of him in the future. An ITV spokeswoman said, Kat Deeley and Rylan will host This Morning together on Monday and Tuesday. Kat will host with Craig Doyle on Wednesday, then Alison Hammond and Craig on Thursday. Alison and Dermot will host the show together as usual on Friday. Producers are also keen to invite Kat's husband presenter Patrick Kielty to join her on the sofa, but he is tied up with hosting duties for the Late Late Show in Northern Ireland. But rather than being a safe captain to steady the This Morning ship, is Kat Deeley in reality joining a sinking vessel? Yet more controversy has been recently heaped on the scandal hit show. News has emerged that it has been the subject of a second internal inquiry in the wake of the Phillip Schofield scandal earlier this year. Apparently one of the daytime show's producers has reportedly been accused of having an affair with a contestant during the filming of a spin-off in Barbados. The holiday dating segment pilot, which was fronted by a Place in the Sun host Laura Hamilton, saw the senior staff member reportedly having a fling with a contestant during their time in the Caribbean. Although the producer has since resigned, the incident is said to have proven somewhat of an embarrassment for the broadcaster, who promised transparency in the wake of Schofield's departure. An insider said, bosses were furious when it came to their attention that a producer had an affair with the contestant, especially in light of this year's This Morning scandal and controversy. It meant that there was another investigation into what happened in Barbados that had to be carried out. They continued, it was disappointing to senior members of staff. The producer promptly resigned. Responding to the claims, meanwhile, a spokesperson for ITV said, we are unable to comment on the details of any specific employment-related matters. ITV sets out and upholds very clear policies with regards to raising concerns on work-related conduct amongst our people. Interestingly, following this news of a mysterious producer having an affair with a contestant, it was reported that one of the longest-serving producers on ITV's This Morning had quit amid concerns over alleged bullying and a toxic culture. Harry Bott had worked for a decade on the show, and workmates were said to be stunned when Mr. Bott revealed his departure on Instagram, beside a screenshot of a website story highlighting allegations of a toxic culture, bullying and harassment on the program. American-born Mr. Bott, yet another American reference there, worked on the show, once dubbed the jewel in ITV's crown, through much of the reign of Phillip Schofield and Holly Willoughby, who quit last month. A This Morning source said, Harry was quite the stalwart and took his role very seriously. It has been pretty grueling to be a member of the production team for the last year or so, but things were still tough before that. ITV said, "We are unable to comment on the details of any specific employment-related matters. Now, Blinkerhole is not going to put two and two together. That's up to our audience. But isn't it a coincidence that a producer was allegedly having an affair with a contestant and then news broke of a producer resigning? And there's yet more coincidences. Just 3 weeks ago, ITV staff were ordered to tell the company about personal relationships with colleagues, which they rather conveniently blamed on the Phillip Schofield scandal. Just this month, ITV has apparently reviewed, refreshed and updated its policy on relationships between co-workers, which had been in place since October 2022. According to the Sunday Times, the document says, if a personal relationship exists between you and another colleague, whether it started prior to or during the course of your employment or engagement with ITV, both parties must disclose this to the company at the earliest opportunity. Those who don't will reportedly face disciplinary action that could include losing their job, and the move applies to freelancers, consultants, contractors, and those on work experience. Whistleblowers have also been urged to report any concerns internally, the publication added. The news comes amid fears barrister Jane Mulcahy's inquiry into Phillip Schofield's affair will never see the public light of day, and now with this new information, one wonders what else this inquiry has unearthed that requires a cover-up operation. It really does seem like ITV are scrabbling around like rats, trying to clean up their ship. So will it be published or not? Well, ITV's chief executive, Dame Carolyn McCall, previously told a committee of MPs that the findings will be published, so it's going to look pretty damning if they are not. One worker said, staff want to move on from a nightmare that's been hanging over the show since May when Schofield quit. There's been turmoil behind the scenes, tears and down-in-the-mouth people. The show needs a new start, but it's impossible while the investigation hangs over us. Perhaps that is the point. Maybe the only option ITV have to keep the inquiry results hidden for good is to follow in the footsteps of the stricken Titanic. Maybe the only way ITV will come out of the multiple This Morning scandals reasonably unscathed is to sink the ship for good, laying the show to rest at the bottom of the ocean, taking all of its secrets down with it. Please like and subscribe for more journeys through the Blinkerhole. For entertainment purposes only. Keep up to date with our latest investigations and hit the join button. If you like what we do, send us a super thanks. Official Blinkerhole merchandise is available in store.